The transport ship was named Lucky Break. The irony wasn't lost on Xanthar Krell, chief xenobiologist of the Galactic Survey Corps. Nothing about this rusted bucket felt lucky, and there was certainly no break from the constant rattling of panels or the metallic groan of aging engines. Across from him sat a human, long-limbed, perpetually restless, with a grin that never seemed to fade. Finn Donovan, ex-soldier, mechanic by necessity, eternal optimist by nature. "Are we there yet?" Finn asked for what Xanthar calculated to be the 27th time in 7 standard hours. Xanthar clicked his mandibles in annoyance, his translator voicing the words in a crisp, insectal accent. "We will arrive at precisely the same moment you asked 5 minutes ago, 7 planetary rotations from now." Finn leaned back, showing those odd flat teeth humans called a smile. "Just checking if your sense of humor finally kicked in." "Humor is inefficient." "Maybe," Finn said, stretching, "but it makes the time pass faster." Before Xanthar could argue, the ship shuddered violently. Warning klaxons flared crimson across the control panels. The hull screamed as if some giant had dragged claws across its skin. Xanthar slammed his secondary forelimbs across the controls, his chitin scraping metal. "Impact detected, minor asteroid collision, shield integrity at 67%, propulsion compromised." "Define compromised," Finn said, already strapping himself into the crash couch, calm as if ordering a drink. "Leaking plasma, directional control failing, 42 minutes until catastrophic engine failure." Finn gave a single nod. "So we're crashing." "Yes, onto a Category 9 Deathworld." Finn's grin widened. "Perfect, just like home." Deathworlds. Every species in the Galactic Survey knew the classifications. Category 1 was lush and mild, planets where life barely struggled to survive. Category 9 was the edge of survivability, worlds where gravity crushed bones, where the air stripped lungs bare, where predators evolved to eat not just flesh but armored shell and steel. Only one race had ever evolved on a Category 8, humans. Xanthar had studied them for years, and still they defied logic. They were fragile in design, soft skin, inefficient teeth, poor natural armor, and yet they survived. No, thrived. And now one sat across from him, strapping in with a smirk, treating their looming death as a casual joke. The ship began descent, automated systems seizing control. The cabin rocked with bone-snapping force. Xanthar vomited twice into his emergency receptacle. Finn whooped like a child on a carnival ride. Impact came like the wrath of gods. The hull tore, metal shrieked, panels blew loose. Xanthar's secondary limbs snapped under the force, sharp cracks echoing in his own exoskeleton. He hissed, pain flooding his nervous system. Then silence. The Lucky Break lay at a crooked angle, smoke hissing from vents, alarms fatting into low groans. "Well," Finn said, unbuckling himself. He staggered to his feet, brushing dust off his suit. "That wasn't so bad." "3 broken limbs contradict your assessment," Xanthar growled. Finn's expression shifted instantly from amusement to concern. "Damn, Xanthar, will you be okay? Can you grow them back or something?" "They are secondary manipulators. Regeneration will take 30 local days. The pain, however, is immediate." "Then I'll carry the heavy stuff," Finn said simply, already moving toward the cargo bay. The 2 survival suits were mercifully intact, multi-species adaptive designs. Xanthar's long, insected frame folded into his, filters hissing as they compensated for atmospheric toxins. Finn's suit sealed neatly around his bizarrely vertical body. Outside lay hell. Gravity pressed harder than standard, 1.2 times by Xanthar's calculations. The air was thick, corrosive, shimmering with chemical haze. Red-leafed flora as tall as city towers loomed over them, their surfaces glistening with acidic dew. In the distance, volcano vents belched ash into a blood-red sky. "Breathable," Finn said cheerfully after glancing at his suit's readouts. "High oxygen, low carbon dioxide, trace methane. Reminds me of the mountains back home." "Breathable for you," Xanthar corrected. "For me, 7 minutes of exposure would cause terminal respiratory collapse." "Good thing we've got suits then," Finn said, taking a long look at their surroundings. "Now let's see what kind of neighbors we've got." The Lucky Break was crippled beyond repair. Xanthar calculated 20 days of internal life support. After that, The ship would be nothing more than a rusting coffin. Distress beacons were active, but the nearest patrol route lay 3 standard months away. 3 months on a Category 9 Deathworld. He tried not to think about it. Instead, he and Finn worked through the local day, 31 hours long, salvaging supplies. Rations for Xanthar were sufficient, for Finn less so. The water recyclers were damaged but partly functional. Weapons amounted to a single pulse rifle and a stun baton. Night fell hard, dropping 40 degrees in less than an hour. Xanthar perched by the viewport, mandibles clattering nervously as 6 moons rose in eerie sequence, silver light painting the alien jungle. "Pretty," Finn said softly, joining him at the glass. "Reminds me of Luna. You ever been?" "I have studied humanity's first colony extensively. I have not visited." "Studying, not the same as being there." Before Xanthar could reply, a piercing howl shattered the quiet. Several answering calls followed, closer each time. The viewport scanners lit up, life forms, large, 6-legged, converging on their position. "Predators," Xanthar confirmed. 3 kilometers and closing. Finn checked his survival kit, slinging the pulse rifle. "Guess we've got company. Don't worry, I'll take first watch. You rest those busted limbs." Xanthar hesitated. Logic demanded equal labor. Pain demanded surrender. He retreated to his chamber, though unease gnawed at him. 6 hours later, Xanthar emerged. Finn sat by the airlock, pulse rifle across his lap, suit helmet off but ready. His eyes were ringed by fatigue, but he was alert, posture tense. "Report," Xanthar said. "Couple of very large, very curious 6-legged things with too many teeth," Finn replied. "Sniffed around, tested the walls, backed off when I fired a warning shot." "They were probing defenses," Xanthar said. "Opportunistic behavior." Finn gave him a look. The one Xanthar had learned meant humans believed differently. "They weren't random. They were testing us, thinking." Xanthar opened his mandibles to argue, but then another sound. A high-pitched keening, thin, painful, young. Juvenile, Xanthar identified. Smaller life form injured. Finn was already standing, sealing his helmet. "What are you doing?" Xanthar demanded. "Sounds like a kid crying for help." Finn cycled the airlock. "This is a death world," Xanthar protested. "Everything has evolved to kill everything else, including you." "Then I'll be careful," Finn said, stepping into the toxic night. Xanthar clicked his mandibles in disbelief, then reluctantly followed. The keening led them through spongy ground covered in fungus-like mats. Each step released clouds of spores, filtered by their suits. The sound grew louder until they reached a clearing. Beneath a fallen trunk lay a creature. It was feline in shape but reptilian in detail, scaled body, a mane of filament-like fur, 6 eyes glowing in terror. Its hindquarters were crushed beneath the weight of the log. "It's pinned," Finn said, kneeling. "It is dangerous," Xanthar warned. "Even juveniles possess lethal dentition." "It's scared," Finn said simply, setting down his rifle. He grabbed a thick branch and jammed it beneath the log, straining to lift. The wood groaned but held. "Inadequate leverage," Xanthar noted, despite himself moving to assist. Together they strained, shifting the log just enough. The juvenile scrambled, but its hind legs dragged uselessly. "Spinal trauma," Xanthar diagnosed. "Survival probability minimal." Finn's jaw tightened. "Not if we help." Before Xanthar could argue, a new sound rumbled from the tree line. A predator stepped into the clearing. 6 legs, massive claws, rows of teeth meant for shredding armor, its 6 eyes fixed on them, unblinking. "Parent," Xanthar whispered, "extremely dangerous." The adult predator advanced slowly, gaze shifting between its trapped offspring and the 2 intruders. Its growl vibrated through the ground, a warning. Xanthar's mandibles clicked in panic. "We must retreat." "No," Finn said firmly, still holding the branch. "We're helping." "You are anthropomorphizing." Finn looked straight at the predator. "Your kid's stuck. Help us lift this thing." Xanthar nearly choked in disbelief, speaking to it as if it could understand. The predator's 6 eyes blinked in sequence. It moved closer, slowly, carefully. Then it sank its claws into the trunk beside Finn's branch. Together, human, alien, and predator, they lifted. The juvenile pulled free. The parent growled, but not at them. At the forest, protective now, its offspring nestled beneath its towering frame. Finn grinned inside his helmet, sweat running down his face. See, not so bad. Xanthar stared, his mind reeling. Nothing in xenobiological records accounted for this. Then the predator turned and began dragging a freshly killed carcass into the clearing. It dropped it at their feet. A gift. Finn's smile widened. I think it just said thank you. Xanthar's mandibles clicked in shock. Impossible, entirely impossible. And yet the predator waited, expectant, as though something more was coming. The carcass steamed in the alien night. It looked like a cross between a deer and an armored boar, its 6 limbs folded beneath its bulk. The predator, massive, scarred, eyes glowing faintly in the moonlight, nudged the offering toward Finn and Xanthar with one clawed foot. A gift, Finn said, his voice hushed but certain. It's thanking us. Impossible, Xanthar hissed, mandibles clicking nervously. Predators do not share resources, they consume them. Maybe your books don't have the whole story, Finn replied, crouching slowly. His gloved hand touched the carcass, then tapped the ground twice in something between a salute and a thank you gesture. The predator rumbled, not quite hostile, not quite friendly. Then it turned back to its juvenile, nudging the smaller creature upright. The cub whimpered, legs trembling. They're smart, Finn whispered. Smarter than we think. Xanthar wanted to argue. Logic demanded it. But the facts defied his understanding, and his training as a xenobiologist told him one thing with clarity. He was witnessing behavior outside the known spectrum. Then the world lit green. The night sky split open. A streak of light blazed overhead, trailing emerald fire. The ground shuddered with distant impact. Trees swayed. A shockwave rolled through the clearing, scattering spores into the air like glowing dust. The predator froze, the cub whimpered. Not a meteor, Xanthar said at once, his scanner already active. Composition, high metallic content, semi-organic signature, this is not a natural object. Finn's eyes tracked the fiery glow still rising beyond the tree line. Then what is it? Something engineered. Rescue pod. Unlikely, signal emissions suggest a terraforming system. Finn's grin vanished, his jaw tightened. Terraforming here on a Category 9 Deathworld. Xanthar's antenna twitched inside his helmet. Preliminary analysis indicates nanotechnological agents. Purpose, environmental conversion, efficiency, catastrophic. Catastrophic how? Xanthar hesitated. Everything alive becomes raw material. The predator rumbled again, low and uneasy. Its 6 eyes turned toward the distant glow. It knew. It doesn't like it either, Finn said grimly. That, Xanthar replied, is the first accurate thing you've said tonight. The predator gathered its injured cub, lifting it carefully in its jaws. Then, without another sound, it slipped back into the trees, heading away from the green light. Back at the wreck of the Lucky Break, the storm had begun. Green clouds boiled across the horizon, rolling unnaturally fast. Lightning flickered in crooked arcs, illuminating the landscape. The red-leafed flora twitched, shivering under unseen influence. Inside, Xanthar hooked his scanner to the ship's failing systems. Atmospheric analysis, contamination spreading, nanite concentration rising 20% every hour. Within 3 days, entire biome will be converted. Finn checked the seals on his suit again. Converted into what? Unknown, but based on energy patterns, crystalline formations. Inorganic structures that mimic life but serve no ecosystem, only expansion. Terraforming, Finn muttered, or more like consuming. Xanthar shuddered. You humans have a word, parasitic. Yeah, Finn said darkly, parasites that eat whole planets. That night neither slept. The storm raged, louder, unnatural winds scraping the hull. Through the viewport, Finn saw movement, shapes at the forest's edge. Predators again. Watching, waiting, but not attacking, as though something greater had unsettled even them. Then scratching at the airlock. Weapons drawn, Finn and Xanthar approached cautiously. The adult predator stood outside, alone. At its feet lay another carcass, smaller, fresher. It looked at them with all 6 eyes, then rumbled softly, expectantly. It brought us food again, Finn whispered. Xanthar's mandibles clattered. Unprecedented, illogical. Finn cycled the airlock anyway, stepping out into the storm. The predator backed away slightly, lowering its head as Finn approached. "Thank you," Finn said clearly, lifting the carcass. "We appreciate it." The predator gave that same strange rumbling sound, then turned and vanished into the dark. Hours later, the ground shook again. This time, it wasn't a distant impact. The forest itself rippled. Crystals sprouted from the earth, jagged green spires erupting in geometric patterns. The fungal mats hardened beneath their feet, losing elasticity, transforming into something glass-like. "Terraforming accelerating," Xanthar reported. His mandibles clicked frantically. "We have 72 hours before full conversion." Finn strapped the pulse rifle across his back. "Then we've got 72 hours to stop it." Xanthar turned to him in disbelief. "Stop it. This is a self-sustaining nanite system. It cannot be stopped." "Everything got a weak spot," Finn said. "Even machines, especially machines." "Probability of survival, 0. "Probability of doing nothing," Finn shot back. "Also 0. Xanthar froze. Logic failed him again. Finn smirked grimly. "Then we fight." They set out at dawn, or what passed for dawn beneath the storm. The impact site lay 4 kilometers northeast, across terrain rapidly mutating. The trees here were no longer trees, but crystalline towers. Their branches reached skyward in sharp geometric fractals. Smaller animals lay fused into the surface, half organic, half crystal, their corpses twitching as nanites hollowed them out. Finn stopped over one such creature, a rabbit-like thing frozen mid-scream, its eyes glowing faintly green. "It's using them," Finn muttered. "Harvesting." "Resource efficiency," Xanthar said, scanning. "The system does not rebuild from nothing. It consumes existing biomass to fuel the conversion." Finn clenched his jaw, efficient and monstrous. Then they crested the ridge and saw it. The crater pulsed like a living heart. At its center stood the structure, neither machine nor organism, but something between. It throbbed with sickly green light, tendrils spreading outward like veins, feeding the crystalline landscape. Energy hummed so loudly the air itself vibrated. "There's our target," Finn whispered. Xanthar scanned furiously. "Central processor. Surrounding nodes channel energy into atmosphere. It is distributing nanites through artificial storm systems. Then we burn the center." "Suicide," Xanthar said flatly. "Not necessarily." They crouched lower as movement appeared at the crater's edge. Shapes dozens. Native creatures, herbivores, predators, everything in between, moved in jerky unison, eyes glowing green. They walked willingly into the central mass, where tendrils absorbed them alive. "Control," Xanthar breathed. "The nanites puppeteer them, raw material delivery system." Finn's grip tightened on the flamethrower he had cobbled together from fuel cells and scrap tubing. "Then we cut the puppet strings." Xanthar looked at him, mandibles clicking nervously. "Approach impossible. Energy tendrils fire every 42 seconds. No organic being can cross in the 7.3-second gap." Before Finn could argue, a rumbling growl sounded behind them. Both turned. The predator. It had followed them. Its cub was not with it, but its 6 eyes burned with something Xanthar dared not call intelligence. It stepped forward, lowered its massive body. "An invitation." Finn's grin returned. "Well, now that changes everything." "You cannot be serious," Xanthar hissed. "I've never been more serious. We ride." Xanthar's mandibles clattered in horror. "Ride an apex predator into a nanite storm? Madness." "Yeah," Finn said, climbing onto its back. "But sometimes madness wins." The predator rumbled again, steady and unflinching. Xanthar stared a moment longer, then cursed in his own language. Against all probability, against all logic, he climbed up behind Finn, his broken limbs screaming with pain. "Ready," Finn whispered. The tendrils pulsed, opening a corridor. 3, 2, 1, now. The predator launched forward, 6 legs pounding like thunder. Through the green storm. Straight toward the heart of the machine. The world became a blur of green light and pounding thunder. Rex, the name Finn had casually given the 6-legged predator, moved like a storm of muscle and claws. Each stride devoured meters of ground. His scaled body flexed with impossible power, carrying human and insected alien through the deadly corridor of energy tendrils. The gaps in the nanite field pulsed open and shut like the heartbeat of some vast, hostile god. 7.3 seconds, Xanthar cried over the comms. If we do not clear the corridor by then, incineration probability exceeds 99%. Then hang on, Finn shouted. His hands clutched the makeshift flamethrower, knuckles white through the gloves. Rex knows the way. Xanthar wanted to scream at him, to demand logic, to insist no predator could possibly comprehend their suicidal plan. Yet as the beast surged forward, weaving between arcs of green fire with precision no machine could match, Xanthar's mind fractured beneath a new, terrifying thought. Maybe it does understand. The first wave of controlled creatures descended. Six-legged deer with crystalline growths jutting from their spines. Birds with green-lit eyes diving in flocks. Even twisted forms of Rex's own kind, their movements jerky, unnatural puppets of the nanites. They hurled themselves at Rex. Rex roared, the sound vibrating deep in Xanthar's exoskeleton, and lashed out with claw and tooth. One predator puppet snapped in half beneath his jaws, green ichor spraying. Another was trampled into crystal dust beneath his claws. Finn fired the flamethrower, a jet of blue-orange fire washing across the swarm. The controlled animals shrieked, sounds no living throat should have made, as flames consumed them. Their crystalline growths cracked and fell to ash. "It works," Finn yelled. "Burn the infection, burn the puppets." Xanthar raised the pulse rifle, firing disciplined bursts. Each shot shattered corrupted creatures into shards. Yet for everyone that fell, more poured from the crater rim, relentless, endless. "We cannot fight them all," Xanthar warned. "We don't have to," Finn growled. "We just need the core." The crater loomed. Up close, the structure defied reason. Part machine, part organism, part nightmare. Its surface rippled like flesh yet gleamed like metal. Tendrils the size of trees pulsed with glowing veins, plunging into the soil. The air hummed with static and death, each pulse rattling bones and shell alike. At its center, a heart throbbed, a sphere of green energy, alive with nanite swarms, every beat sending waves of corruption rolling outward. "There," Finn shouted, pointing. "That's our target." "Impossible," Xanthar countered. "Radiation levels." "Impossible's what humans do best." He leaned forward, urging Rex on. The predator responded, muscles coiling, 6 legs pounding harder. The last barrier of controlled creatures surged. A hexapod monstrosity, easily twice Rex's size, blocked their path. Its body was half crystal, half flesh, jagged spines erupting from its back, eyes burning with green light. It opened its maw, belching a stream of nanite vapor. "Now Xanthar," Finn bellowed. Xanthar fired. A full-power pulse blast struck the creature square in the throat. Its corrupted flesh exploded in shards. Rex plowed through the falling remains, never slowing, never hesitating. The gap yawned. The heart lay ahead. 10 seconds to contact," Xanthar cried. Finn stood in the saddle of Rex's scaled back, flamethrower braced. The green light painted his face inside the helmet, sweat glistening. "This is for your planet, Rex," Finn roared. "Let's burn it down." He unleashed the flame. A torrent of fire speared forward, striking the pulsing heart. The structure reacted like a living thing. It shrieked, not in sound but in vibration, rattling teeth and carapace, making their bones scream. The green surface blistered, nanites unraveling into ash where the fire touched. "It's working," Xanthar confirmed, scanning furiously. "Nanite cohesion destabilizing." "Then we keep burning," Finn shouted, emptying the tank in a roaring inferno. The heart convulsed. Energy tendrils lashed out blindly, striking the ground, the sky, anything. One slammed into Rex's flank. The predator bellowed in pain, scales sizzling, green veins spreading from the wound. "Contamination detected," Xanthar cried. "Exposure critical." "Hold on, buddy," Finn urged, patting Rex's neck even as the beast staggered. "We're almost there." He pressed the trigger again. The flamethrower coughed, then sputtered, empty. "Fuel depleted," Xanthar shouted. Finn ripped the tank free, slamming it against the core itself. "Then we make it count." He yanked his sidearm, fired a single shot into the pressurized tank. The explosion tore the world apart. Blinding light consumed the crater. A shockwave rippled outward, vaporizing crystalline growths in its path. Tendrils writhed and collapsed, the heart imploding on itself, nanites screaming as fire and heat ripped them apart. Cascade failure, Xanthar screamed over the scanner's alarms. System collapsing. Then we did it, Finn shouted, voice triumphant. Just as an energy lash whipped across his suit. The material bubbled, seals burst. A hiss of escaping oxygen filled the comms. Breach, Xanthar shrieked. Finn gasped, clutching his side, green sparks crawling across the torn fabric. Rex wheeled, instinct screaming, and bolted from the collapsing crater. Behind them, the core convulsed, then erupted in a final blast, tearing sky and earth apart. They crested the ridge, the blast wave chasing them like a tidal wave of fire and crystal dust. DOWN, Xanthar commanded. Rex slammed flat against the ground, shielding them with his body. The shockwave rolled over, heat baking, lightning cracking, until finally silence returned. The crater was gone. Only smoking ruin remained. The green glow faded. The storm clouds began to thin. The terraforming system was destroyed. But Rex staggered, collapsing onto one knee. Green veins spiderwebbed across his scales, spreading from the wound. His breath came in ragged growls, foam flecked with glowing motes. No, Finn whispered, sliding from the saddle despite his own torn suit. Not after everything. Xanthar scanned frantically. Nanite contamination spreading, fatal in hours. And the cub, Finn demanded. Without intervention, both will perish. Finn's jaw tightened. His face hardened with that stubborn human resolve Xanthar had come to both hate and admire. Then we don't let that happen. He staggered toward the beast, blood seeping from his own breach, hands already searching through the medkit. Xanthar froze, staring at him, at the human bleeding, dying, refusing to stop. Completely irrational, entirely inefficient, utterly human. And for the first time, Xanthar wondered if inefficiency was what survival truly meant. The air stank of burnt crystal and ozone. The crater smoldered behind them, green light fatting, storm clouds unraveling. The terraforming core was gone, but the victory felt hollow because Rex collapsed with a strangled growl, his 6 massive legs trembling. Green veins pulsed under his scales. Contamination. The cub's distant cries echoed from the shipwreck clearing, thin and broken, already carrying the same deathly glow. Finn stumbled off Rex's back, clutching his torn suit. His chest plate was split open, green sparks crawling across the breach. Oxygen hissed in uneven bursts. He slammed a patch over the hole, sealing it for now. Suit integrity at 63%, Xanthar reported grimly, scanners clicking. You are contaminated. Rex is contaminated. The juvenile will not last the night. Finn ignored him. His hands were already digging through the medkit, tossing vials, foam sprays, and bandages onto the ground. We can fix this. Xanthar's mandibles clattered in disbelief. Fix this? You cannot treat alien physiology with human pharmaceuticals. Their biochemistry is unknown. Basics are the same, Finn cut him off, jabbing a syringe into the dirt. Blood, bones, organs, stabilize the system by time, fight the infection. That's all medicine is. Xanthar stared, torn between outrage and awe. This is not medicine. This is improvisation. Improvisation is what keeps us alive, Finn growled, pressing his gloved hand to Rex's heaving flank. Come on, big guy, don't quit on me now. They dragged Rex back to the lucky break. It took everything Finn had left. Xanthar helped where his broken limbs allowed, chitin scraping against Rex's scales. The predator followed, staggering but determined, as though he too understood the urgency. The cub was waiting. Its cry was weak, pitiful, but when it saw them, its 6 eyes blinked in desperate hope. It limped forward, collapsed, and whimpered. Finn's jaw clenched. We saved them both. Impossible, Xanthar whispered. Not if we try. The medical bay was barely functioning. Power flickered, life support stuttered, but the diagnostics table still hummed weakly. Finn coaxed Rex onto it, the surface groaning beneath the predator's weight. Run full analysis, he ordered. Xanthar obeyed, claws dancing across controls. The screen filled with impossible data. The green veins weren't disease, they were nanites, self-replicating machines threading through tissue, hijacking cells, rewriting life into crystal. This is no pathogen, Xanthar said grimly. It is semi-organic nanotechnology designed to infiltrate biology at the cellular level. Purpose, assimilation. Yeah, I noticed, Finn muttered. He pulled another kit open, hands moving fast. What stops nanites? Xanthar clicked his mandibles. Radiation, heat, electromagnetic disruption. Finn's eyes lit with something reckless. Heat, fire burns them. Yes, but also the host, Xanthar snapped. Not if we control it. He grabbed a vial of fever-inducing compounds, human pharmaceuticals meant for controlled immune stimulation. Xanthar froze. You intend to raise their body temperature. Force a fever, Finn confirmed. Push them high enough to cook the nanites but not the host. Balance it, just enough fire in the blood. Madness, Xanthar whispered. Maybe, but it's a better plan than watching them die. They started with Rex. Finn measured a cautious dose, 1/10 a human equivalent. He injected the compound into the thick muscle of Rex's foreleg. The predator twitched, growled, then lay still, eyes fixed on Finn with unblinking trust. Temperature rising, Xanthar reported, scanners humming. Nanite activity slowing marginally. Finn exhaled. Good, it's working. Minutes dragged into an hour. Rex's scales shimmered with sweat. His breathing grew ragged. The nanite veins flickered, retreating, then surging again. Temperature approaching critical threshold, Xanthar warned. Any higher, and organ failure probability increases exponentially. Finn cursed under his breath, placing cooling packs along Rex's sides, then adjusting the next dose. Not too hot, not too cold, just enough to burn them out. It was a dance, a brutal, exhausting dance between fire and life. When Rex stabilized, they turned to the cub. The smaller body was even harder to control. Fever spiked too fast, dropping too low, swinging wildly. Finn held the little predator's head in his lap, stroking the mane of filament fur gently through his gloves. Stay with me, little guy, he whispered. We got you, don't quit now. Xanthar adjusted readings furiously. Nanite breakdown occurring, but tissue damage extensive, even if it survives, mobility compromised. Finn's jaw tightened. Survival first, walking later. Hours passed. The medbay reeked of antiseptic and sweat. Finn's hands trembled from exhaustion, blood seeping through his patched suit, yet he refused to stop. His eyes stayed fixed on the monitors, adjusting doses, cooling, heating, adjusting again. Xanthar watched, stunned. Humans were inefficient, illogical, reckless. Yet here was one, bleeding, half-dead himself, fighting not for his own survival but for two alien predators that by every law of nature should have killed him. And somehow it was working. Rex's green veins faded. The cub's breathing steadied. Nanite activity dropped below detectable thresholds. Against all probability, against all logic, life won. But Finn did not celebrate. He collapsed against the wall, clutching his side. His suit patch hissed again, leaking oxygen. His own contamination readings blinked angry red across the scanner. Your turn, Xanthar said quietly. Finn shook his head. Not yet, I've still got work to do. You will die, Xanthar insisted. Finn grinned weakly. Yeah, well, humans do that, but not today. For the first time in Xanthar's long career, he felt something alien to his species. Something he had only observed in humans, never within himself. Hope. That night, as the 6 moons rose again over the smoldering horizon, Rex stirred. His great head lifted, eyes focusing. The cub whimpered, nuzzling against its father. Finn, barely conscious, smiled faintly. Told you, we'd make it work. Xanthar clattered his mandibles softly. You should rest. Yeah, Finn murmured, his eyes closed. His chest rose shallowly, then slower. Xanthar's scanners screamed warnings. Oxygen low, contamination spreading, fever rising. The human was dying. Xanthar's claws shook. For the first time, he realized what must be done. The nanites responded to heat, fire. He had dosed Rex, he had dosed the cub. Now it was Finn's turn. Xanthar reached for the syringe. The medbay lights flickered. The ship groaned like a dying beast. Outside, the green storm had faded, but the world was still broken, crystals collapsing into ash, air thick with poisonous haze. Inside, Finn Donovan lay motionless. His chest rose in shallow, uneven breaths. The suit's emergency seals hissed with each exhale, leaking tiny green sparks. The contamination spread along his ribs in glowing veins, a mirror of what had nearly claimed Rex and the cub. Xanthar Krell stood frozen, mandibles clicking in helpless rhythm. He was a scientist trained to observe, catalog, preserve, not to intervene, not like this. But Finn had intervened, again and again, against predators, against nanites, against reason itself. And now Xanthar's claws hovered over the syringe, his secondary limbs trembling despite the pain of their breaks. Probability of survival with no action, 0, he whispered to himself. Probability of survival with fever induction, indeterminate. He glanced at Rex. The great predator lay nearby, weak but alive. The cub curled against his side, its 6 eyes blinking drowsily. Both bore scars, but both breath steady. Both were proof the impossible could be done. Xanthar clicked his mandibles once hard. Then inefficiency is survival. He prepared the injection. The compound had been calibrated for human physiology, but dosage was guesswork. Too little and the nanites would flourish. Too much, and Finn's fragile tissues would cook from within. Humans, Xanthar muttered, drawing the dose. You thrive in chaos, you adapt, perhaps you will adapt again. He pressed the injector against Finn's neck. The hiss of delivery was soft, almost merciful. For a moment, nothing changed. Then Finn's body convulsed. Monitors screamed, his temperature spiked, his pulse hammered erratically, his skin flushed beneath the contamination veins, sweat pouring off him. Controlled response, Xanthar told himself, forcing calm. This is within parameters, this is survivable. But it was not yet. The fever soared, Finn's back arched. He gasped like a drowning man. Too fast, Xanthar hissed. He scrambled for cooling packs, pressing them along Finn's chest and limbs, regulating, balancing. Stay alive, human, stay alive. Rex growled low, shifting painfully toward the table. The cub whimpered. Both predators watched with eerie intensity, as though they understood this was not just another hunt, but a battle for one of their own. Minutes bled into an hour. The nanite veins writhed, flickering. Some receded, burning out under the fever. Others pulsed stronger, fighting back. Xanthar adjusted again, administering microdoses of stabilizers, cooling, heating, always walking the knife edge between salvation and death. He realized, suddenly, that he was doing what Finn had done for Rex, copying his methods, his intuition, his refusal to let statistics dictate the outcome. He was improvising. Like a human. At last, the scanner tone shifted. Nanite activity decreasing, Xanthar whispered. Contamination breaking down. Finn's body sagged, the convulsions easing. His temperature stabilized, still high but within survivable limits. The veins of green dulled, fatting into faint scars. Against all probability, the treatment worked. Xanthar exhaled, every limb shaking. Relief, alien, unwelcome, flooded him. He had saved a human. Or perhaps, he thought grimly, the human had saved himself, through the stubborn irrationality that had infected Xanthar's logic. Hours later, Finn stirred. His eyelids fluttered. He blinked blearily, then focused on Xanthar. A weak grin tugged at his lips. You did it, he rasped. Xanthar's mandibles clattered. Yes, against all reason, yes. See, Finn coughed, voice hoarse. I told you, improvise, adapt, overcome. Highly inefficient, Xanthar said. Highly effective, Finn countered, closing his eyes again. For the first time since the crash, Xanthar allowed himself to rest. The predators lay sleeping, Finn's breathing steadied, and the green storm outside finally cleared. It was not safety, not yet, but it was survival. And survival was enough for now. The next local day, Finn was mobile again, though pale and unsteady. He insisted on working. The core's gone, he said, limping toward the scanners. But I don't buy for a second that was the only one. Xanthar frowned. Evidence suggests you are correct. Terraforming protocols are rarely singular. Redundancies are expected if one node existed here. Then others might too, Finn finished grimly. He pulled up the scans. The crater was destroyed, but energy readings lingered, faint echoes of transmission, signals bouncing into orbit. They called for backup, Finn said. Whatever sent that thing, they'll send more. Before Xanthar could reply, an alarm screamed. The long-range sensors, half dead but still functional, picked up a new signal. Not natural, not atmospheric. A ship. Finn's eyes narrowed. Rescue. Xanthar scanned. His mandibles clicked in alarm. No, the profile does not match galactic survey vessels. Then who? Unknown. The comms crackled. A voice hissed through, metallic, distorted, cold. This sector is under reclamation. Unauthorized life forms will be removed. Surrender is unnecessary. Finn's eyes hardened. So we've got company. Xanthar stared at him. This is not rescue, this is invasion. Yeah, Finn said grimly, strapping on the pulse rifle. And we just made ourselves a problem for them. Outside, the sky split again. A new streak of green fire descended, faster, larger, deliberate. But this time, it wasn't just a machine. It was a ship. The sky screamed green. A ship tore through the clouds, black and angular, its hull glowing with veins of sickly light. It was not built for elegance nor speed. It was a weapon, a hammer of inevitability designed only to deliver extinction. Xanthar Krell's antennae twitched with dread. His scanners confirmed it, nanite signatures identical to the core they had destroyed, but magnitudes stronger. This was no fragment. This was the source. Beside him, Finn Donovan grinned faintly despite his pallor, pulse rifle slung across his chest. Guess we pissed off the neighbors. Neighbors, Xanthar clattered, horrified. These are not neighbors, they are architects, engineers of annihilation. Finn's grin didn't fade. Call them whatever you like, they're here for round 2. The ship descended toward the ruined crater, thrusters howling, scorching crystalline wreckage into ash. Panels unfolded along its hull, revealing claws, spines, and ports that hissed with emerald energy. From those ports, shapes dropped. Dozens, then hundreds. Not creatures, not machines, something between. Metallic skeletons wrapped in flickering green light, limbs too long, movements too precise. Their heads were faceless orbs, glowing like lanterns, each one pulsing with the same rhythm as the storm. Xanthar's mandibles clicked frantically. Infiltrators, semi-autonomous constructs, their purpose is assimilation. They will convert everything, flora, fauna, mineral, atmosphere, until nothing of the original remains. Yeah, Finn muttered, raising the rifle. Not on my watch. The first wave approached the wreck. Xanthar opened fire, pulse blasts tearing through the construct's limbs. But where flesh bled, these things simply reconfigured, nanites flowing to reshape shattered metal into working parts. They repair, Xanthar cried. Then we hit 'em harder, Finn barked, firing in controlled bursts. He aimed for the glowing cores in their chests. When the shots struck true, the constructs shattered into dust. Core weakness, Finn confirmed. We just need to hit the hearts. Rex roared. The predator lunged from the clearing, massive jaws crushing one construct whole. His claws ripped through another, scattering nanites across the dirt. The cub followed, smaller but ferocious, biting into glowing limbs. Xanthar gaped. They fight with us. Finn's grin widened. Looks like we made some friends. The fight turned desperate. Constructs poured from the ship, their green light spreading across the battlefield like a tide. Pulse blasts lit the night. Rex's roars thundered, shaking trees. Finn fought like a soldier born for chaos, rolling, firing, reloading, never stopping. But numbers told the truth. For every construct that fell, 2 more rose. For every patch of ground cleared, the tide pushed closer. We cannot hold, Xanthar shouted. We must retreat. Finn fired again, another core bursting into shards. Retreat where? This is it, Xanthar. Either we hold or we die. Probability of survival. Shove your probabilities, Finn roared, hurling a spent mag. We make our own odds. The ship's central bay split open. A larger shape emerged. Twice the height of Rex, plated in green crystal, its limbs ending in blades. 6 eyes glowed across its head, mocking parody of the predator beside them. It moved with a terrifying grace, each step deliberate, inevitable. Commander Construct, Xanthar breathed. Central control node. Finn's jaw tightened, so we cut off the head. Rex growled, hackles rising. The cub whimpered but stood firm beside him, teeth bared. The Commander Construct raised its blade arms. The green storm above pulsed brighter, answering. And then it charged. The battlefield dissolved into chaos. Rex met the commander in a clash of titans, claws against blades, roars against silence. Sparks and ichor sprayed. The cub darted in and out, snapping at limbs, narrowly avoiding death with each pass. Finn ran toward the heart of the battle. Xanthar shrieked, "What are you doing?" "Getting close," Finn yelled. He shouldered the flamethrower tank, refilled with scavenged fuel cells, crude but functional, and sprinted into the storm of nanites. Xanthar's limbs twitched helplessly. Logic said to flee, instinct said to hide, but something deeper, a spark ignited by Finn's madness, made him follow. Rex roared in pain as the commander's blade sliced across his flank, green corruption spreading instantly. The cub leapt onto the construct's back, biting its neck, but was hurled off in a spray of sparks. "Here," Finn bellowed, drawing its attention. He unleashed a jet of fire across its torso. The nanites recoiled, sizzling. The commander staggered, core glowing brighter in distress. Xanthar raised the pulse rifle, firing volley after volley into the exposed glow. The commander shrieked, not in sound but in vibration, a psychic howl that rattled their skulls. It lunged. Rex intercepted, slamming his body into the construct, claws tearing. The two titans locked in a death embrace, rolling across the ground, each strike shaking the earth. "Core exposed," Xanthar shouted. On it, Finn ran forward, fire roaring. The commander thrashed, energy surging. Tendrils of green lightning lashed out, striking trees, ground, even Rex's flesh. The predator bellowed but held on, pinning the construct long enough. Finn leapt. He jammed the flamethrower nozzle into the commander's glowing chest and pulled the trigger. The fire burned white-hot. The commander convulsed, screeching. Its core cracked. Nanites screamed. Green light flared blindingly bright. Then exploded. The blast threw them all back. Xanthar hit the ground hard, carapace cracking. Finn tumbled, rolling, blood spraying from his reopened wound. Rex collapsed, smoking, his chest heaving. The cub whined, crawling to his father's side. The battlefield fell silent. The remaining constructs froze. Their green light flickered, then went out. Without their commander, they crumbled into dust. Xanthar staggered upright, scanning. Central node destroyed, control lost, they are inert. Finn coughed, dragging himself to his feet. His grin was bloodied but real. "Told you, cut off the head." He staggered toward Rex, falling to his knees beside the predator. The great beast's eyes fluttered, weak but alive. The cub licked its face desperately. "We did it, big guy," Finn whispered, stroking his scaled mane. "We beat 'em." But Xanthar's scanners screamed. Above, the ship's core glowed brighter. Energy surged, building, focusing. "They are initiating self-destruction," Xanthar realized, horror flooding him. "Scorched Earth protocol, they will sterilize the entire biosphere." Finn's head snapped up. "How long?" "Minutes, perhaps less." The enemy ship throbbed with unnatural light, preparing to unleash final judgment. Xanthar's mandibles clicked. "We must flee." "Flee where?" Finn snapped. He looked at Rex, at the cub, at Xanthar, then back at the death ship overhead. "No," he said. His voice was quiet but certain. "We're not running." Xanthar froze. "What do you propose?" Finn raised his bloodied face, eyes burning with that irrational, impossible human fire. "We take the fight to them." The Deathworld sky boiled green again. Above them, the alien ship pulsed like a monstrous heart, its hull glowing with gathering energy. Xanthar's scanners screamed, atmospheric ignition. Within minutes, the vessel would unleash enough power to scour the entire hemisphere, burning forest, predator, and survivor alike into crystalline ash. Finn Donovan wiped blood from his mouth, slung the pulse rifle across his back, and stood. His body was failing. Contaminated veins still glowed faintly across his ribs, but his eyes burned with iron will. "No running," he said again, steady despite the weakness in his voice. "If that thing fires, we're all done. We stop it, here and now." Xanthar's mandibles clattered. "Madness, we cannot reach orbit, we cannot breach that hull." "Maybe not alone." Finn turned to Rex. The great predator staggered, blood seeping from crystalline burns, but his 6 eyes met Finn's with grim recognition. The cub pressed against his father's chest, unwilling to leave. Finn knelt, resting a gloved hand on Rex's snout. "One more fight, buddy, just one." Rex rumbled weakly but forced himself upright, towering again despite his wounds. Xanthar hissed in disbelief. You cannot possibly mean to. Ride him, Finn finished, straight into the belly of the beast. They moved fast, there was no time for fear. Finn mounted Rex with practiced ease, flamethrower rigged to his side, pulse rifle slung tight. Xanthar clambered on behind, ignoring the shrieking pain of his broken limbs. The cub limped after them, determined, refusing to be left behind. The alien ship loomed overhead, descending lower, preparing to fire. Its hull opened like a yawning maw, energy building within. Rex crouched, muscles coiled. Ready, Finn shouted. No, Xanthar snapped. Good enough. Rex launched skyward. The Predator's 6 legs tore across the crystalline terrain, bounding from spire to spire. Each leap carried them higher, closer to the ship's underbelly. The cub scrambled behind, small but fierce, following every motion. Constructs reawakened as they approached. Smaller drones, birthed from the ship itself, swarmed out in clouds. Green eyes blazed, metallic limbs slashed. Hold on, Finn roared. Rex leapt into the swarm, claws flashing. He ripped through drones, shredding nanite flesh, scattering them like sparks. The cub snapped at stragglers, tearing one apart with feral fury. Xanthar fired the pulse rifle relentlessly, blasting cores, buying precious seconds. His mandibles clattered between bursts. This is impossible. Finn grinned through bloodied teeth. My favorite kind of fight. They struck the ship's hull. The impact was bone-shattering. Rex's claws dug deep into alien alloy, finding grip where none should exist. With a roar, he began climbing. The hull seared with energy, green lightning arcing across its surface. Finn and Xanthar clung desperately to Rex's back as the Predator scaled the impossible wall, dragging them toward the glowing core at the ship's heart. Main reactor, Xanthar shouted, scanning furiously. If we breach there, feedback could cascade through the entire vessel. In English, Finn barked. Blow it up. Now you're talking my language. They reached the ventral core. A gaping wound in the ship's belly pulsed with swirling energy, green light blazing like a sun. Inside, tendrils of nanite fluid coiled, feeding the weapon that would soon erase the world. Rex clung to the rim, roaring defiance into the storm. Finn stood in the saddle of his back, flamethrower primed, pulse rifle ready. His voice cut through the chaos, raw and fierce. This is our world now, and you don't get to take it. He unleashed fire. The flames poured into the reactor, burning nanite tendrils to ash. The ship screamed, not with sound but with vibration, rattling teeth, shaking the ground. Xanthar added his fire, pulse blasts hammering the exposed core. Energy flared, unstable, thrashing. It's working, he shouted. System destabilizing. But the cost came swift. The cub shrieked. A drone's blade pierced its flank. It staggered, blood spraying. Rex bellowed in fury, ripping the drone apart, but his movement slowed. Green corruption spread faster across his body. Too many, Xanthar cried. We cannot hold. Yes, we can, Finn roared. We always can. He hurled the last fuel cell straight into the reactor and fired. The explosion was blinding. The ship convulsed, nanite veins rupturing, energy surging out of control. Lightning ripped the sky, tearing clouds apart. The entire vessel began to collapse inward, sucking air, debris, even its own drones into the imploding core. Rex roared, scrambling free from the reactor rim. He leapt from the hull, carrying Finn and Xanthar as the ship disintegrated behind them. They crashed to the ground, tumbling through shattered crystal. Heat washed over them as the alien vessel tore itself apart in the sky, falling in burning fragments across the horizon. The world shook, then fell silent. The architects of doom were gone. When the dust cleared, Rex lay motionless. The cub limped weakly to his side, nudging, crying, desperate. Finn dragged himself forward on bloody knees, pressing both hands against the Predator's massive chest. Don't you quit now, Finn whispered hoarsely. Not after all this, don't you dare. Xanthar scanned, his mandibles clattered softly. Critical trauma, nanite corruption spreading, probability of survival. Shut up, Finn snapped. His eyes burned, tears mixing with sweat. No numbers, no odds, just life. He pressed the injector, the last of the fever compounds, straight into Rex's heart. The Predator convulsed, green veins flared. His chest rose once, twice, then steadied. A weak rumble escaped his throat. His 6 eyes blinked. Alive. Finn collapsed against his flank, laughing and sobbing all at once. That's it, big guy, that's it. 3 days later, the storm was gone. The forest still bore scars, but life crept back. Crystals cracked and crumbled into soil. Strange flowers sprouted from the ash. The Deathworld healed itself, stubborn and unbroken. The Lucky Break was still a wreck, but its distress beacon pulsed steadily. And in the clearing, a strange camp stood. A human and insectoid alien, a great predator and its cub, survivors, companions, family. Xanthar recorded his notes into the Galactic Survey log, his voice steady but changed. Survival confirmed, enemy constructs destroyed, terraforming halted. Evidence suggests greater forces remain beyond this system, but we endure. We endure because of one human's inefficiency, irrationality, and impossible compassion. The Deathworld is hostile, yet perhaps it has chosen new guardians. He looked up from the recorder. Finn was teaching the cub to fetch sticks. The great predator, Rex, watched with wary amusement, 6 eyes blinking in odd rhythm. Finn laughed, voice rough but alive. See that? Fast learner, smarter than you think. Xanthar clicked his mandibles softly, perhaps like humans. Above, the 6 moons rose again, silver light falling on survivors below. The beacon pulsed, rescue would come, but so would war. And when it did, Finn Donovan grinned at the thought. Because humanity thrived on Deathworlds. And this time they weren't fighting alone.